Welcome to The Pestle, reviewing and breaking down movies to look for insights into the movie-making process. Hosted by aliens who look a lot like humans. Because why would another planet produce anything different? Now, let's dim the lights and start the show.
I like that he kind of cracks up as he's saying the punchline. Welcome everyone to The Pestle. Today's show is brought to you by One Wish Willow. Make a wish and get that bish. One Wish Willow, where dreams come true.
Oh my God. That's good.
Welcome everyone to The Pestle. I am Wes.
And I am Todd.
And we are filmmakers. We like to review films and learn about storytelling, cinematography, performance, all kinds of little things you can pick up if you're in the filmmaking community when you watch a movie. I mean, one of my favorite things I learned early on as I was getting into writing, watch movies. Like, you want to be a better writer and you're not watching movies. This is one thing that bums me out when I hear someone say they want to be a director or they want to be a writer. And I start to geek out a little bit and like, oh, what are your favorite, like, who are your favorite directors or what are your favorite movies? And they're just like, oh, I don't know. Star Wars. And I'm like, wait, okay. You want to make the thing that you don't actually participate in. Like you don't watch movies, but you just want to make movies. Okay. I mean, I'm sure there are directors out there who don't watch movies, but I don't know that I'm going to like their movies, to be honest. Like, every director I feel like I'm crazy about will go wild. If you start talking to them about movies, you will suddenly realize you've never watched a movie in your life. Like, listening to Tarantino, now he's probably on a different level, but go listen to Scorsese, go listen to Nolan. Like, those guys know movies. And it's not just old classics. They'll talk to you about movies that came out this year and in detail. Like, I hear some of those guys, hearing Nolan talk about some random, like, little indie film that I'm like, that's right. You're a movie lover too. I kind of forget that. Like, I spend so much time paying dollars to go watch their movies, but they're just like us. They're buying tickets, right?
100%. I don't, and you gotta like love watching it. Like, I don't know. I love the medium. I love sitting down and I mean, especially since doing this podcast, like, I look at movies differently than I did before we started doing it. How long are we doing this? 7 years? 7 years?
9 years, sir.
Oh, geez. Okay, I'm terrible. God, 9 years. What the hell?
Yeah.
I've never done anything in my life for 9 years except be married. That's like literally it. Wow. Yeah, so I look at movies very differently than I did before, and you know, we talk about it all the time on this podcast about how difficult it is to get a movie made. So anytime there's, you know, any movie is made, I think it's like an astronomical feat, whether it's, you know, good or not, whether it's, worth it or not to sit down for an hour and a half. Still, it's, you know, mad respect, mad props.
Yeah.
But like, because there's so much that goes into it, it's just, you can always get something out of it, you know, and it's just a really interesting medium because it's a mix of a lot of mediums. You know, you've got sound and music, you've got photography, you've got you know, if there's CGI, you've got, you know, art and design, you've got direction, you've got acting. All of these things, they come together, and storytelling, you know, like, that's an art too, come together in this. So, and it's not like, you know, I love reading and reading is great, but it is a commitment, you know, like, if you sit down and you want to read a 300-page book, you're not going to do that in one sitting, but you could sit down and watch even a 2-hour movie in one sitting, 2.5 hours, you know, if it's that good. But yeah, I've just seen so much more. I've watched so many more movies than I would have without this podcast, you know, and seen them in a totally different light. And I have so much respect for the medium that, like, I can't imagine somebody who saying that they want to be a director or they are a director or they are a producer, not just, constantly. I mean, even Tom Cruise says he watches a movie a day, every day. This is Tom Cruise. This is a guy who's been doing this for 50 years. And he still is a student of the medium, and I think that's amazing.
That's awesome. Dude, nice. Yeah, so with that in mind, what are we analyzing today, man?
Today we are analyzing The Mandalorian and Grogu, the new Star Wars film that's out. So if you haven't seen this film, please pause the episode and go watch it, because we are going to spoil all the things.
Yep. We'll talk about the problem with Star Wars' endless, faceless bad guys. We'll also dive into some of the story and writing, talk about kick the dog storytelling, cute gimmicks, what makes for a good fight scene, and other such stuff and things and stuff.
And a quick synopsis of the film. Once a lone bounty hunter, Mandalorian Din Djarin and his apprentice Grogu embark on an exciting new Star Wars adventure, directed by Jon Favreau, written by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and Noah Clore, cinematography by David Klein, featuring Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, Sigourney Weaver as Colonel Ward, Jeremy Allen White as Rhoda the Hutt, and Johnny Coyne as Lord Janu.
Nice. No soundbite. Yeah, so I feel like at some point you've recommended, Mandalorian. And we've both been fans of the show. And so making that transition from TV show to movie can be difficult. And I'm curious because you went to see this with your kids, which might be a different experience from just going in by yourself. So I'm curious, do you think it made a successful jump to the movie medium? And good movie, kids enjoy it?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. It was terrible. It was awful. I couldn't even joke. Yeah, I was there with my kids, and anytime I'm at my kids want to go see a movie, I'm excited, and afterwards I'm like, that was great, because I don't want to formulate their opinion with mine, because they know that I do this all the time, that this is what I love doing this, and that I have my opinions, and I don't want my opinions to mess with theirs. This was a terrible movie in every way. It was exactly what I expected from Star Wars. It was just god awful. And when I first saw the trailer, I thought, what the fuck are they doing? This is not a movie. This is not a movie. You want me to watch this creature that doesn't speak for 2 hours or plus, and with a guy who I don't see his face for 2 hours plus, and try to connect with them. And it's a good show. It's a terrible movie. And I knew that when I first saw the trailer. I was like, there's no fucking way this is going to be good. In fact, if we weren't going to do this, I wasn't going to see it. I wasn't going to see it in the theater if we weren't going to cover it. So
I will say, just to lightly interrupt, I had a feeling it wasn't going to be good based on your level of excitement of going to watch it in the first place. But I didn't see a trailer. And my hope was it's a Jon Favreau movie. And not that he's got a flawless record. I mean, he did Cowboys and Aliens, right? And I don't know, the last starring... I didn't go see the Lion King live action remake because I saw the Beauty and the Beast live action remake and realized this is all going to be trash. So I just skipped all of those live action remakes. But part of me was hoping, because the show, whenever it's him running it, has been really compelling and fun. And he knows movies. He's a movie guy first. He's not a TV show guy first. I really came in not expecting that we were going to be bashing it. And I'm sure you have no doubt that I'm going to just rip into it.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. And so, I came in good faith. I was really hoping, and I didn't watch the trailer, so I didn't have any sense of what we were in for. You did. And so I respect that you also let me go in and form my own opinions without shading it beforehand, as we do for each other.
Of course.
So, I just wanted to clear that up. I didn't know we were going to be killing this thing.
Forgive me, everyone. Yeah. I didn't know. Dude, it's fine. It's fine. I think that we, being the age that we are clinging to a Star Wars that doesn't exist. That hasn't existed since we were kids. It died after episode 6, which was the third one.
Yeah.
It died. Everything since then has been absolute garbage except Rogue One. That was a great one. And that was a great one for a lot of reasons. Other than that, every effing Star Wars movie has crapped on the franchise in every way. I can't imagine somebody watching this and saying, yeah, that's great. Or watching any Star Wars movie and saying, yeah, that's great. They're all, and this is my opinion. They are all trash. And they are getting worse and worse and worse. And this is a great example of how bad they can get. There's zero saving grace in this movie. Zero. I don't think this is a absolute cash grab. Trash in every way. I mean, I can't, you know, I'm sitting here trying to think, like, was the cinematography good? Sure, I guess, whatever. I could see things. So yeah, sure. But the pacing was terrible. I mean, if you strung together, what I want to see is someone edit and string together all the time that you just see the Mandalorian walking. It's probably 5.5 minutes of just him walking, doing nothing, saying nothing, nothing's happening around him. He's just walking. I have no connection to this character. I can't see his face, and he's just walking. Like, every time I saw, I'm like, how long are we going to stay on this? This is like 45 seconds of him just walking in silence. Like, what the hell is happening? I didn't, the motivation for the story was trash. I didn't, like, the bad guy, who was the bad, we easily catch the bad guy, and it turns, and one guy who gets away, we learn is the main bad guy that he needs to go and capture later. But, like, it's easily found out that that's who it is. There's no stakes here. Like, I never thought that he was going to die, you know? I mean, my favorite part was, I guess, the part where we're just watching Grogu when he is out and just laying down, and Grogu is, like, you know, getting food and, you know, giving him shelter and stuff like that. And yeah, sure, that was my favorite part. Actually, my favorite part had nothing to do with the movie. So I was in a theater with my kids. That was my favorite part. Yeah, the movie was absolute garbage. And I feel bad because Pedro Pascal is a great actor, and everybody knows that now. Like, he's freaking everywhere. And I just really hope that something like this doesn't, I don't know. I hope it doesn't, like, really affect his career, because it is that bad where it possibly could. And I don't know, did they know going into the editing bay, that what they had was garbage? I don't think so. And I don't think so because it's over 2 hours. Like, if you make a movie and you get into the editing bay and you think, oh, this is not what we thought it was, you don't make it 2 hours. You make it 90 minutes, right? You make it, or 100 minutes. You don't make it 120, 125, whatever this was. I mean,
132. I memorized that while watching it.
Okay. Yes, exactly. When we were watching it, and I was like, oh my, at one point I thought, this has got to be close to being over. And I looked at my watch, and it was less than an hour in. And I was like, this is bad. And I could tell that my kids liked it. Like, they like going to the movies with me, and they like movies, and they like Mandalorian, and they like Star Wars. But I could tell that they were bored out of their fucking minds. And I'm sorry I'm saying the F word, but this kind of thing pisses me off. I could tell. I don't want to bore my kids going to the movies. So you took something away from me. You took 2 hours of my life with my children away from me, and you didn't even entertain them. That's what you did. This is like that scene in Adaptation. I don't have time for your fucking movie. You know, you have given me nothing. you've taken from me. You know, you not only have you taken my time, you've taken my kids' attention, and you've taken my money. And I want it back because it's that bad. In fact, I haven't seen a movie this bad in years. I can't even tell you a movie that's worse than this. And I want you. Maybe you have a differing opinion. I don't know. But for me, I'm pissed. I'm really mad. Even though I kind of knew going into it. I was like, how can they make this good? But like you said, I trust Jon Favreau. I think that he's a great director, a great writer, and he has a great flair for story and everything. None of that was here. There was no story. There was no motivation, real motivation. What he's doing things out of the kindness of his heart, like, and you know, she offers to pay him, and he's like, this one's on me. What the hell are you talking about? You're a mercenary. You're a hired gun. No, you don't do that. Like, there's no motivation for characters anyway. Sigourney Weaver, what the hell are you doing? You were awful in this movie. You might be one of the worst parts. Your acting is terrible. You are a great actor. What? I don't know if it's the lines they gave you. I don't think so, because your delivery was flat as shit.
Yeah, it felt like there were
everything.
cue cards just off camera that she was reading off of. That's how it felt.
That's exactly what I felt. Yeah. You know, she's in the jet, and she's delivering these cheesy ass stupid lines, and it's just like anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but do not go see this movie if you haven't listened to us and we are spoiling everything for you. Let me save you $13 or whatever it is it costs to go see it. Do not wait for it to stream, because you know in a month and a half it'll be on freaking Disney Plus.
Yep. If this were Game of Thrones, you'd be the High Sparrow, making them shame,
Yes.
walk through the
Shame.
town square,
Yes.
in front of everyone, closeless.
Yeah.
Dude, same. I saw it from the opening scene, the opening sequence. Whenever the opening, look, it's a cool, very lengthy fight sequence. It's super cool, so cool, but completely emotionally unengaging. Like, I could not have cared less about anything that was happening. And it opens, well, it gives you the text. Like, we don't do a crawl, but we do the text of, on the Outer Rims, it's lawlessness, and as the New Republic tries to get everything under control, the Outer Rims are being lawless, and the Mandalorian is trying to help, bring law or something. And then we cut to the interior of this round table where we're having this same tired trope of what I call, and what's generally called, not just me, like it's generally called kick the dog storytelling, right? And so we have this kick the dog opening, and kick the dog storytelling is just where you want to make sure everyone knows who the bad guy is, have them kick the dog, because everyone freaking loves dogs. So anyone abusing a dog is a bad person, and we hate them, right? It's very simple, cartoonish, and there are effective ways to go about doing that. And there's very blunt, ineffective ways to go about it, where we just kind of roll our eyes like, oh, I get it. That's the bad guy. And this is the ineffective way. And he's done this before. This is how the opening of Cowboys and Aliens starts. This is the first sign that things could go wrong. And we're watching this opening where we see a big bad mafioso type guy bullying all these merchants, and one lightly, but sir, and then he pulls out a gun and shoots him dead. And you're like, oh, we don't like this guy. We don't know any of these merchants. We don't care about any of them. They're whimpering, but it's there to provide a feeling of who's the bad guy here. Got it. And that at that moment, which is literally like 60 seconds in, you're just like, I already had a sinking feeling like, oh no, is this how we're establishing this universe? That's not good. And then the sinking feeling just kept going, because from there we get the same tired trope of our hero kicking tons of faceless bad guys, right? And this is something we've been harping on. I feel like the first time we brought it up was actually in praise. because I remember watching Rogue One, to your point about like there's been one good Star Wars movie since the original trilogy, and it was Rogue One, which is basically a prequel. And I remember watching that and was really impressed that Gareth Edwards or Tony Gilroy, depending on who should really get the credit there, like actually made me feel something for the bad guys. These stormtroopers, there was several moments in there where I was like, oh, those were humans that just got wiped out, and it hurt.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's a really hard trick to pull on these faceless bad guys. And then here, we're right back at it. We're watching Mando like just tear through a bunch of guys in these cool fight sequences where he's kick punching everyone and pulling out blasters and punching faces and kicking butts. And I was just already tired because we're doing all that without establishing any focus of what Mando was wanting and why we should care, right? Just fight. And from there, dude, I already had the sinking feeling that this is going to be a slog. But I was also still holding out hope. It was like, okay, maybe he's giving us a really cool, maybe he's relying on our history with Mando. Because I like Mando and I'm rooting for him. So maybe we're just relying on that. And he's going to give me something in the next scene that starts to get me to care about why we're doing what we're doing. I mean, the pit of my stomach was already like low, but there was a part in the back of my brain like, maybe, just maybe. And of course that didn't manifest. So yeah, it was rough. I started checking the clock and the game became, can I guess how long is left in the movie? How long can I go without sneaking a peek at my phone? And can I guess about accurately how long is left in the movie? That became what entertained me for this movie. Because it was thin, man. It was super thin for exactly the reasons you already laid out. I'll go deeper into it in some ways, but it's not going to get deeper than what you said. I will just elucidate how we feel that. But I will try to point out some things that I liked, which is worth the effort, I think. The character design, great character design. A lot of it we've already seen, all right, in the show, fair. But there were some new character designs that were happening, and I thought there were some very, very cool monsters. But the monsters are way too friendly. Like, these are scary monsters that don't eat people. They just throw them around. Like, the monsters get loose in that arena, right, with Rada.
Yeah.
And they just throw people. Like, they have these big scary teeth that they just don't use. You're like this bear, man. You know, and you're like, don't be the guy in the PG-13 movie, man. You're a rated R guy. Be the rated R guy. You got these fangs, man. And I felt like Mikey was getting it wrong. Like, I'm watching Mikey direct a movie, and I'm like, Mikey, you got these big fangs, man, and these monsters just throw people around.
Swingers?
Yeah, that's a Swingers reference. Yeah. And it just broke my heart. I'm like, these monsters are terrifying, and they just grab people and launch them, and they're not hungry. Like, they've been starved in order to fight, presumably. That's how you get these things to eat people. And yet they get a buffet and they could not care less. They just are launching people across the stadium. That's tedious. And then on the character design front too, this is what annoyed me, is we have nothing but classic cute toy gimmicks. This is classic Star Wars stuff, right? Except at least Yoda became meaningful. Like, we'll at some point, maybe later this year, maybe like November or December, we'll finally sit down and do the trilogy. Like, that's been on the plate for a long time that we've just avoided doing. But maybe we'll do it because go think about meeting Yoda for the first time and then what he turns out to be. That's a very big contrast. And here we still have lots of cute things, but they don't grow into anything else, right? The little gremlin minion mechanics do all the cute baby talk gibberish. Got it. But that's about the extent. Like, they turn things around, but you knew that was going to come. and you knew when it was going to come, and it was just nothing more interesting to them. They're there to be merchandise, and you can feel the merchandise underneath those characters, and that rubs me so wrong. And Grogu has become so boring to me. Like, he'll sneeze, he'll try to eat food, he'll push buttons. Got it. That's all the same stuff we've seen him do. And what's so frustrating about it is he used to be a really great MacGuffin in order to force Mando to make tough choices, make tough decisions that reveal something about his character. That used to be what he did, right? Like, he was there to make Mando wrestle within himself. Like, I'm not supposed to care. I'm just a bounty hunter. I'm not supposed to care about this stuff. You're a job, and that's all you were. And they tried to wrestle some of that out with Rada, but it never really felt like a decision. We never got a sense of what he was giving up in order to go after Rada. And Grogu never provides any level of introspection for Mando in the movie. He's just there.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And so the one almost interesting moment, and I agree, like it was my favorite moment, but it didn't really add up to anything, which was getting to see Grogu save Mandu, which we get to see periodically in the show. And those happen at really fun moments in the show. But here, my problem was it doesn't cost Grogu anything. And it doesn't reveal anything about Grogu. Like, we don't learn anything new about him. He's still the perfect little rugrat, lacking any dimensionality as a real person with desires beyond eating. That's it. That's the extent of Grogu, is he likes to eat things and be a little kid. And that was a real opportunity to actually put some meat on the bones, and it just doesn't happen. He still comes across a good-natured guy out in the wilderness who's just there to help him. Oh, look at the cute kid. I'll help him. Why? You just took food from this guy. What would be much more interesting is if Grogu had to make a decision between, like, killing and eating something in the wild. Like, what if it's a monster with younglings, and he can't kill that monster, but he can kill a youngling? Like, now Grogu has to really make a decision. Is he willing to kill something to save his buddy? Like, I know they don't want to go there in this movie. I know that. But there's a lot of ways to make it more interesting for Grogu, to reveal something about his priority list and how he's choosing to live his life. And we just never get to see Grogu make any decisions whatsoever. You had a response or a reaction to that?
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm just agreeing with you. I'm just like fully and utterly agreeing with you. No, I want you to keep going.
And so let's talk about the fight scenes, because this is all soulless stuff happening. Fight scenes will just pop off when he needs to accomplish something, but they have no real teeth, right? It's just an action sequence to keep him from achieving his goals too easily. And his goals are pathetic, to your point, again, about like, what does any of this mean, right? And so he fine, you give him some conflict so that he can't just save Rada, right? It can't just be, I saved Rada. Instead, it has to be, I now have to fight Rada in order to save him. So what do I do? Do I kill Rada? And so, fine, you've created a fight sequence that's making him make a small decision. But good fight scenes are a conversation. They're characters expressing thoughts and feelings, right? Someone throwing a punch or getting blocked or gaining the upper hand or losing ground, it's an argument. It's internal conflict expressed outwardly. Rocky getting up off the mat and dominating is a reflection of his internal attitude, something changing and shifting within him. That's why you start to root for him, right? And here, this movie is just endless punches and kicks without any compelling emotional undertow, right? It's just a boring fight scene. That's what makes it boring. Without a feeling of Mando's worldview at stake, or a sense of why his enemy could be right, we never feel like his life is in danger because he's never in risk in this movie. Like, that's what the real risk is. It's not, oh, we think this guy's big and strong. It's that we think this guy might be right about the world. That's why his life suddenly feels at stake, is because his worldview is at stake. And now we think, wow, Thanos actually has a real perspective about life. That's what makes him dangerous. It's not the fact that he has the gauntlet. It's that his perception of reality has a tinge of truth to it. That's why we're afraid that he might win. And that's why he's able to accumulate power. It's because his philosophy has something that makes us afraid, that scares us with its tinge of truth.
And we all think that we're right. We all think that we're right. And if you don't establish that as a bad guy, then you have a hollow bad guy. I have to know that this bad guy thinks that what he's doing is right. He thinks that. I cannot think that, but he needs to think that, and I need to know that he thinks that. None of that exists in this world.
And that's why we never feel his life in danger. It's because the emotional and philosophical stakes are completely absent. This is entirely plot driven. This is one bounty hunter mission without any substance underneath it. And that's why we can never feel him in danger, is because there's nothing emotional at stake for him. That if he doesn't save Rada, does that change anything about the way the Mandalorian is interacting with the world? No.
No, and one really weird thing to add to that is, like, towards the end, when he is talking to Grogu and saying, we could leave and buy ourselves some more time, but the Hutts will keep coming after us. Do we go fight? It has nothing to do with saving Rada.
Right. Yeah.
Has nothing. They don't go back to save him. That's not the motivation. The motivation is to save their own asses later on because the Hutts are going to keep coming after him. What? If he's really that good of a guy, Mando, then he would have said, they're torturing him. We need to go help him. Or better yet, maybe it's not Mando's decision to say that. Maybe some way Grogu communicates, because Grogu has the connection with him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Grogu communicates, like, we need to save him. We need to go back and save him. But that's not the reason they go back. And in fact, the whole time I'm thinking, do they know that he's being tortured? Do they remember that he's being tortured? I remember, because I like him. He's the kind one,
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's an
mess.
Excellent point, because at that point, you should invert it. You should say, the Hutts will never touch us again. We can leave right now, getting everything that we wanted in the first place.
Yes. Yes, our mission is complete.
Our mission is complete. But do we leave Rada, who, and the emotionally compelling aspect of Rada is that he comes from a villainous family, and he's trying to make a change for the better. Do we want to encourage that in this galaxy? We're living in an outer rim of lawlessness, and there's a seed that we can water. Do we water it? And so you got to find another way to have an excuse of going back to save Rada, because it's about him and about saving the soul, and they just never crystallize that. And they have a decent character in Rada. I liked Rada. Like, don't get me wrong. I liked his character. I liked the idea behind him and the acting. I don't know if I liked the character design on that front. That felt a little bit on the silly side, but I thought they maximized what they could do with that character design. But finding the reason to make him more compelling, or crystallizing to the audience why we care. Like, yeah, we cared about Rada to some extent. I thought they could have fleshed that out more and then completely reversed the stakes so that they're not risking anything by walking away. Instead, the emotional compulsion is there to go and do good. What's the point of the law, right? If the lawgivers aren't, the spirit of the law is to save and to do good. And if you're violating that by walking away, you're doing bad, right? And they just never find a way to kind of crystallize or even make that a compelling like perspective. And so yeah, that great point about the huts. That was the wrong way to go about it. Completely missed the opportunity. God.
You want to know the best part of the movie for me, actually? And maybe you noticed this, maybe you didn't. But the fight scene with the monsters.
I love that snake in the pit. That snake design I thought was awesome. But
I'm getting to a point. Is that I think it's in A New Hope. You remember when C-3PO and the Wookiee are playing a holographic game?
Yeah.
Those are the monsters. In fact, I found a clip and I'm sending it to you now. We can put it in the show notes. Those monsters in that game,
I can see it,
are the monsters that you see it now. Because I remember I was watching it and I was like, this is a circle and it looks a lot like that game. Are these those monsters? And then when I came home, I looked it up and I was like, these are those monsters. That's cool.
Great pull.
But what I want you to do when you watch this clip is notice how you feel. How you feel watching this clip. I feel at home. I feel like I see a young Harrison Ford. But yeah, that's great. And it feels warming because I love that man in all the ways. But the characters and the lighting is dark in places and it's depth. There's so much depth and there's so much like the blacks are so beautiful. Like everything is so, it just feels at home when you watch this clip.
Yeah.
And put that next to all the stuff that we watched in this movie and you'll literally feel the difference. And it's palpable. It really is. But I thought that was cool that he used those monsters from that little scene. It's a throwaway moment, you know?
But it's worth it. That's such a great call out. Yeah, because once you said it, I could see it in my mind's eye. I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
And yeah, this, to me, and maybe this isn't right, but to me, this has Dave Filoni's fingerprints all over it. Like, he's getting the lore right, and he's referencing things that we all know without getting the soul right. And that's ultimately it's Favreau's, job as a director to dial that stuff in. But yeah, that stinks, man. It goes back to what you said at the very top. Like, the Star Wars that, we grew up loving isn't the Star Wars as it exists today. And we keep hoping for that. And maybe eventually they'll figure it out, but there's been so much dilution over the last, 15 years now that it's making it harder to be excited about the next anything Star Wars related that gets dropped. Yeah.
They can't step outside of whatever it is they're trying to do to see, like, what is this going to turn into? Like, I don't have any other explanation for it. Like, why are these people who are very good at what they do? Jon Favreau is very good at what he does. How the hell could this have made it off the cutting room floor? I don't understand it. No. How the hell could this have made it into, yes, we're going to make that in the first place? Really, like, if you read it, you could see it. But you and I both know a script is just a script, right? You have to be able to, like, see it made already to know what it's going to turn into. And the director, you're right. Buck stops with the director, and they have to have seen it. And there is no way that someone as good as Jon Favreau could have read this and seen, yeah, this is what I want this to turn into. No way. But he wouldn't make a movie without seeing it. So I don't understand what the hell is going on. I other than a cash grab, but why would Jon Favreau put his name on a cash grab? He doesn't need the cash, right? Maybe he does. I don't know. But why would he do that?
But what's so absolutely infuriating is the fixes that we're talking about aren't hard. It doesn't even require a full script rewrite. There's very simple analytical tools you can do in the screenwriting process where you just ask yourself some simple questions. Like, what's his arc? What does the Mandalorian go through? What does he believe at the beginning that he no longer believes at the end? Or what does he believe in the beginning that the people around him don't believe, that then they believe at the end? Like, that's not a hard litmus test to ask. That's fundamental stuff. What's the growth, curve look like for your story? And there is none. And if you can't answer that, and not every story needs to have those basic analytical tools, like what does the character want? What's their goal? What does it cost to achieve it? Like, you don't have, some of my favorite movies probably don't have those things at all. Like, but those are indie films. This isn't an indie film. Like, if you wanted a popcorn film that is going to be action heavy, that the audience is going to clap and cheer for and cry over, you probably need to ask those questions. It's just the rules of the game for Disney. And if you're making a Disney Star Wars film and you're not asking those questions, then you're doing yourself a massive disservice, because without those questions having very clear point on the map answers, then you're going to produce something that feels soulless, that feels like a cash grab, instead of something that you wrote that I just had to make it. Right? That gets you out of bed in the morning, that says, man, I cannot wait for people to experience this. And you didn't answer those questions.
Like, I could have made a better movie than this. Like, I could have directed this movie better. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. I'm not even a director, and I could have directed this movie better. I could have taken the script and made necessary changes to make the characters important, or make important decisions, or make hard decisions, or do different things, or at least said, that's a terrible performance, do it again. Like I could have done that. And yet we see other films that have come out recently, I'm not going to say the names, that are made by people who have no money or very little money, and that there's no way in hell I could have stepped in and done a better job. Like, no way. Like, it's not about money. It's not about it's not about the established characters even, because I think they made this thinking this is going to make a lot of money because everybody loves Mandalorian and everybody loves Grogu. That's not enough. It's not enough for a film. It's enough for a TV show. Sure. I can sit down for an hour and you just take me a little bit and I'm okay, because I have another hour to go and another 6 hours to go. So by the end of it, I feel like there's an arc. But in a movie, you gotta do more. And I think that you and I have studied this kind of stuff enough to know, like, hold on, this isn't right. There's something wrong here. And I don't know. I don't know why this was made. I just really don't. And I don't know why Jon Favreau tied his name to it. I understand why Kathleen Kennedy did. It's like Star Wars. Let's make money. That's garbage, man. Like, you cannot.
I wonder. So we just bludgeoned one of our favorite directors quite a bit, which, sorry, deserved. We'll praise him every time he fucking knocks it out of the park, but we're just calling balls and strikes here. But that said, I do wonder, because you invoked Kathleen Kennedy, and this is something I was just about to bring up, which is, I do wonder what it's like to make a film in that environment, not necessarily her specifically, but in a corporate environment, because some of the films you were, vaguely referencing are made outside, right? That's what makes it an independent film. You're making it outside the studio process, where executives are looking over your shoulder and saying, yeah, but when is Grogu going to sneeze? And it's just like any corporate job. Like, it sucks to say it about movie making, but it's true. At a certain point, you're there to do a job for a paycheck, and no matter how much you might love the property, there's other people that are writing the checks that are saying, hey, great, I know you want to do that, but we're not going to do that. And you can either do it my way or take the highway, right? You can walk, or you can do it the way I'm asking. And so Favreau is a massive name in the film industry, no question. But I do wonder if and how many concessions he was having to make along the way. Regardless, you're still the director, your name is still on it. Like, that doesn't, entirely excuse him, but that part of me does wonder about working within the studio system and the kind of costs that come along with that. in storytelling. There's a balance there, as we're talking about.
So are you asking? Are you asking in terms of Kathleen Kennedy, or are you asking in terms of Favreau?
I'm asking if I'm Favreau and I'm in those meetings and I have this script and I'm like, there's a script I started with, and then there's the script I had to shoot. I'm wondering what the difference is when an executive steps in, Kathleen or anyone, because Iger is in charge now, and maybe it was him. I don't know whose watch this one fell on. Right, Bob Iger stepped in after Kathleen Kennedy, so it might have been on his desk, and I think it's irrelevant from a fan's perspective. But as a director working in the studio, you do get notes, and you do have to execute to a large degree things that you just don't believe in. You're like, we don't need a 15-minute action sequence to start this movie, but the director's coming in, or executives coming in and saying, I know, but yeah, you do. And we can't know. And so all we can do is point the finger at Favreau. But I am curious what the actual process is and what kind of poo stew he's having to eat while making this kind of movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't pretend to know that either, but I honestly don't even care. 'Cause like at some point, he wrote the thing, he directed it. He could leave, right? Or maybe he couldn't leave. I don't know.
But he did leave the show, right? Like that's the thing. Is like at some point he did say, "I'm out."
He's Jon Favreau, and yes, Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, her name's on it too. But it's this is out.
Right.
This is in the world, right? This was edited. This was shot. This was edited. This was released. This was promoted, all with his name on it. And I don't understand. I understand someone like, Kathleen Kennedy or Bob Iger saying, I think that this and I think that. And, it's notorious in the entertainment business to have people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about saying, this is what I want. And 9 times out of 10, then when they stay out of it, it's better. It's not always better. And I think that in some cases they have great ideas and they love movies in a lot of cases. But when you're talking about this, where everything, like literally everything is wrong with this movie, literally everything, at some point, you being Jon Favreau should step up and say, this is too much. If somebody is trying to change it, or you get into the editing bay and you say, what we made is trash and we need to try to save it. Let's cut 30 minutes off of it and see if we can make a story out of this, or do reshoots or something like that. I don't know. But there is
reshoots is what saved Rogue One. Like we never got to see the original cut.
Exactly. And that was the other thing last thing I was going to get to was, I'm sorry to keep going back to it, but you can make a great Star Wars film with characters that you are not familiar with. I was not familiar with Andor. And yet I loved that character in that movie, right? Yeah. I don't need to have spent, episodes with a character to understand who it is. I didn't know who, like the main character, whatever her name was, I didn't know who she was when I went into this movie. But the opening established exactly who she was or who I wanted her to be, and seeing what her backstory was. Like, there is a way to tell this story and to make it super important in a world that you are not familiar with, like a foreign galaxy. And they did none of that.
Yeah. I think what came to mind as we've been talking is the perfect case study of how to take a universe and make a whole new story within it that just slaps. The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, right, is a Game of Thrones spinoff. And they took this big universe with crazy amounts of money to produce that has another spinoff that is even bigger than the original, or at least it seems. And then they said, we're going to make another spinoff, and it's going to be so small. It's going to have 2 characters, and it's going to be so intimate, and it's going to be better than anything Game of Thrones has done in that universe. Like, it's possible to say we're going to take invent all new characters. You haven't met any of these people from any timeline in Game of Thrones, and we're going to make it so small and intimate, and you're going to care, and you're going to just be stressed, and or whatever. You're going to be so emotionally invested, and we're never going to see a dragon or whatever, right? Like, it's not going to be about the visual effects. It's not going to be about the lineages or whatever. It's just going to be about someone who wants something and someone else who wants something. We're going to see what they'll do to get it. We're going to see what they'll sacrifice to keep themselves emotionally, who they feel they are in their heart intact. Man, if you did that, there's so much opportunity in Star Wars to just go sit on Tatooine or wherever and say, what does it mean to exist in this universe that's been built? What does it really cost someone to be on the Outer Rim? Or what does it take? And Andor's another great example. Like, we're going to just see what it costs to be a rebel in the Empire. What does that actually cost someone? And we're going to just play it to the bone. Man, there's so much opportunity to do that. And you don't have to do none of that. You don't have to see the Empire. You don't have to see the rebellion in order to tell a compelling story. You don't need to see a Jedi or a lightsaber to tell a very compelling story in Star Wars. There's absolutely no reason you can't take some man versus nature story and plop it down into Dagobah, this horrifying swamp, planet. And what does it cost to survive on Dagobah?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I would love to see a starfighter or a TIE fighter pilot crash land on Dagobah, and like, what does he got to do to survive on this planet?
Already I'm invested.
Right.
And partially because audiences are different than they were in the 80s. Yeah. You can't just go killing stormtroopers and us not think, wait a minute, that was a dude just doing his job. And yet hundreds of them die in all of these Star Wars movies for no freaking reason. So your idea of a TIE fighter going down in a desolate planet, or like a planet where it's hard to survive, and an hour and a half of them trying to like get out, that is way more interesting. Take my money.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because like, you have to start answering questions like, why is he over there? Well, he's obviously there to get something. Whatever. It's a map. It's a MacGuffin. It doesn't matter, actually. And he's there to get some. Okay, so he's chasing a bad guy, and they both crash. Why do they crash? I don't know. You can write something compelling around that. And maybe it's a betrayal. Maybe they're actually together, and it's two TIE fighters. And one suddenly trying to escape with this thing because they were actually a part of the dark side, and they were just a plant. And now you can build out a whole story about a betrayal and what it means to survive on this planet. Isn't actually about surviving on the planet. It's about surviving betrayal. Mm-hmm. And you can reflect that through the monsters that you encounter. Man, it's...
Do you hear this? Disney?
It's easier
Wes
than
can
you
write
think.
your next movie, and it would be way better than what you just put out.
It'll only cost you
Seriously.
$500 million.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
No, seriously, you could probably make a movie like that for like a couple $1 million.
Actually,
honestly.
Yeah.
You have one giant set, and then you use like the LED screens and stuff, and to replace the background. And
I mean, look, we get it. It's easy to backseat drive and say what we woulda, shoulda, coulda done, but all of that to say, like, there's simple questions that just never got answered, and that resulted in an incredibly boring light show, and that's all we really got. And that stinks because the part that really stings about it is who did it. Like, Favreau knows how to do action that with fight scenes that pop off the screen that are emotionally compelling. You don't believe me? Go watch Iron Man. That movie is full of action scenes that have emotional punch. That's the entire movie. And so don't tell me he can't do it. We know he can, and it's so frustrating. And maybe we'll find out eventually what happened or what went wrong. But until then, like, we know who to point the finger at, and it sucks. Is that's one of our guys. I think about Chef, and was like, I backed you. I was one of your guys, man.
Yes, that's how I feel. It's like if he was standing in front of me, I would still say the same thing. I would say, I love you. I love everything you do. What happened here? Yeah. This is not good. No. And I wouldn't expect I wouldn't expect a really good director to not take that in. Well, look, some directors, they're just like, I don't care, like I'm going to make what I make. But those are directors that always make good stuff. I don't know. I think that if Favreau was sitting here, I would say the same thing, probably a little nicer.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But I would say, man, this really, it didn't do it for me. And I'm wondering, why, if you're letting me ask you questions, I'm assuming that you are, why did this happen? Was there anything that you didn't want to happen, but it had to happen because the studio made you or whatever? Or was this 100% your decision because everything you've done has been really awesome? Even the stuff that I'm not crazy about. I'm not crazy about Chef, but I think that you love that movie.
Love it.
And I think that there are really great things about that movie. And it's very Favreau. That's the other thing. He has a style. It might be subtle, but he does have a style. And I didn't see that in any of this. If I didn't see his name on it, I would never have thought that he did it, for all of those reasons that we've already established. I'm like, where was your footprint? Is there something that I'm missing? Please educate me. I would probably say it more like that, but right now I'm just mad. I'm mad because he's taken something from me, or at least I feel like that.
Yeah.
So
nice. Well, I think we've thoroughly kicked that horse down. Nice. What are you gonna recommend this week?
Oh shoot. You know what? I don't have a. You can go first.
Okay. I've already mentioned A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and so instead I'm going to recommend him. Now I haven't watched it recently, so this might be one of those what did you do, Wes? Recommendations. But Underworld. This is vampires, and it's very stylized. Werewolves and vampires, right? If you've never seen it, it's Kate Beckinsale just melting. I'm surprised they were able to film it without the film literally melting in the gate. She is so blindingly hot and cool. And there was a behind the scenes thing because it's all action. It's her firing guns. And she'd never fired a gun before, is what I'm led to believe. And she's on set. And Len Wiseman, who I think they met on this picture, and they went on to get married. And he tells her, hey, whenever you fire, and she's got an Uzi or some kind of automatic weapon. He's like, you can't blink. So whenever you start firing, for it to look really cool, you can't obviously you can't recoil, but you can't even blink. And if you've never fired a gun before, if you fire one bullet, you're absolutely thinking about oh yeah, I guess I blinked. Let alone if you fire 50 shots in 1 second, you're gonna blink. And the fact that she was able to just pop off a full clip, stare it down, blows my mind. And it looks so cool. But more to the point, it's full of action sequences that actually mean something to the story and to the characters making decisions that you can see expressed through the action. And I think that's super, super cool. It's a hella cool film. This came out at the same time as Matrix Reloaded, I think. And everyone was excited about Reloaded and had never heard of Underworld. And Underworld absolutely murdered it. I went to see Underworld 2 or 3 times in the theater. And yeah,
I did too.
Right?
I loved that film, dude. Great
movie.
call.
We should cover it at some point because it's so good.
We should. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh man, why have we not done that movie?
So good. But if you want fun character design, fun new turn on a classic story, and making it action and making the action count, I think that's probably a good place to go in contrast to Mandalorian and Grogu.
Great call, man. Gosh,
I tried to feather that out.
It's a great movie. This is a great movie. Okay, I know what I'm going to recommend, and I think I'm going to recommend this because of what you were talking about earlier about it. We have these giant stories, and a lot of times, if you just boil it down to a motivation of one person, or one character, it can be a way better story than having all of this giant stuff. So totally left to center, but I'm going to recommend Pursuit of Happiness. from 2006 because of that. Like I was just searching around and I was like, okay, this is a good one. This could kind of like vibe, but I think this is a great story. It's just a story of a motivation of a character, right? And how it turns out is how it turns out, but the motivation is the story, right? And you feel it from moment one. This person has got to do this, has got to be successful. They have to. If they don't, then everything falls apart. And the risk of giving anything away. It's a fantastic movie. Will Smith is amazing in it, and his son is incredible. It's gut wrenching. And I mean, I could literally go watch it right now and get something out of it, and I think maybe I will, honestly, because I've seen it probably like 3 or 4 times, and every time I see it, I'm just more and more impressed. And it's just based on a true story. So anyway, yeah, Pursuit of Happiness.
Nice. Stay tuned for next week. Do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Okay. So we go back to the movies and back to another YouTuber and see if he made good. That would be, 3 for 3. Let's see what happens. We're going to watch Backrooms. Was it Dylan? What's his name? Backrooms. Dylan. Oh, come on. What's his name? Not Dylan Dalmatian. I don't know what that means. Not Bob Dylan. Backrooms movie. What is it? I got to find his name. Sorry. Suffer. Oh, it's not Dylan at all. It's Kane Parsons. That's why.
Perfect. Yeah. That's why you couldn't find it.
Kane Parsons takes his viral stories on YouTube and takes it to the movie theater. So Backrooms, stay tuned for that. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a note. And don't forget to rate and review us. Ideally, if it's 5 stars, good. If it's not, hey, maybe you just keep it to yourself. Like those reviews, it's not that I don't mind criticism. It's that we don't want, to bring down the star rating on our review site. So
it matters. It matters a lot.
That stuff actually helps. And if you haven't done that already, please go do it. I think we got around 25 or 30 ratings and reviews, and could use more. Could use a boost, a little boon. And if you want to comment on this episode, you can do that at thepestlepodcast.com/The Mandalorian and Grogu.
And our quote of the day is from the great Bruce Lee. Use only that which works and take it from any place you can find it. So simple. So simple.
We've been on privately, we've been on a Curry Barker kick after last week's episode. And I feel like that's what he's doing right now. He's looking at things that have worked historically and like, okay, I'll take that and I'll use it. Like he's not breaking new ground. He's just executing the hell out of the ideas that he's taking. And why? Great point. Yes. Why not? And so I love Bruce Lee just so succinctly pointing that out. Like it's not that you have to do that, but at the same time, you're not going to go wrong that way, probably. I mean, we all learn, we all make mistakes, but if you learn to just use the stuff that works, why not? Take it from wherever and then make it your own. That's where the specificity comes in. It's like, it's not going to a lot of people, it's not going to feel used, but because of what it means to you, and it's okay. Cliches are there to be used. Just make them your own. And that's what's going to bring them to life.
That which works is filtered through you and your experience and your opinions and your what you think is good and what you think is not good and your life. It's filtered through you. So nobody will ever do it the way that you do. So if, like I said before, Jon Favreau has a style, right? He does not he's not like breaking new ground, like you said, but he takes what works and he does it. And then that turns into his style. Curry Barker takes what works and like you said, he's not breaking new ground. He just does it, but he has a style, and his style for me is pacing, right? Like at least for right now, I've only seen one film from him, but his editing and his pacing is great. And you know why? Because he took what worked, learning that on YouTube and the stuff that he's made, and what works is pacing. Specifically for comedy, but also that translates really well into horror. So whatever that is, whatever the thing that works for you, That's the thing that you take. And in filtering it through you, it turns into something new, and meaning like your style. It doesn't have to be the entire story has never been told before and it's brand new. I mean, we talked before this podcast that like he's doing a story now, like a new story that's been told before. It's been done before, but it could have been done better. And so what is he doing? He's going to take what works and he's going to make it his own. And I think that that's so beautiful, man. That is the difference between us and a machine. And that, like, you can take an idea, Wes, because you're a filmmaker. You can take an idea that has existed for 100 years and you can turn it into something that is brand new because it's filtered through you.
Absolutely.
Like, what?
How many times have we seen Hamlet? We've seen Hamlet told so many times, right? The Lion King is Hamlet. And there's no reason you can't take something 100 years ago, 500 years ago, thousands of years old. You could, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, right, is just the Odyssey filtered through the Coen brothers.
And you can see it. That's the thing. You can see the style. That's my point. It's beautiful. Anyway, great quote, man. Great quote. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Sorry for the shitstorm, the shit show there, but we, look, that's what you pay us for. That's what we get the big bucks for, right? Whatever. I'm not afraid of anybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed this and had a good time. Subscribe. Please subscribe where you get your podcast. Review us. 5-star rating, please. And that all helps a lot. And if there's a film you'd like to see us talk about or pick apart, let us know. Maybe we'll cover it one day. Until next time, I'm Todd.
I'm Wes.
Go watch some movies.